Welcome to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast with your host, legendary powerlifter and strength athlete, Chad Ikes. For most, the journey of strength starts in the gym, but should inevitably expand through all aspects of life. Join us as we discuss all things strength. Now, here's your host, Chad Ikes.
Hey everybody, coming at you from my travel trailer today because this is my new tiny home for now. And I wanted to record this one yesterday because I've had these I think I wrote down three thoughts that I wanted to share that I've had over the past week or so. And I woke up and looking at my social media, I had one of them negative kind of comments that people just want to get on there, and I don't know why they do it, but and it was something about, you've done almost 100 episodes in your podcast and you haven't put out as much knowledge as one article from Louis, which I thought that's pretty funny to me, actually. Louis was a genius. Of course, we're talking about Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell. Guy did so much for strength training. I had so many cool conversations with him. Just a great guy. It was always really, really good to me. But anyway, I was thinking about it, and this will actually be episode 97. And so I started thinking about, holy shit, how long have I been doing this? So we're coming up on 3 years. And that's just a lot of time to put into something that started kind of as, hey, I want to try to help people out. I want to try to give back to the powerlifting, the strength community, the fitness community that's all had such an impact on my life. So it's really cool. It's actually cool. 100 episodes will be cool. I remember thinking someday maybe I'll get to 100 episodes. Like, that'd be really cool. And we're almost there. So some of the things I wanted to talk about, though, the other day I was out riding my bike. And riding my bike is interesting for me because it's kind of like, I see it as a form of meditation, because like the main part of my brain is kind of focused on riding and where I want to go. Is there shit in the street? Is there a little curb I want to try to jump? Whatever it is like that. I'm kind of focused on riding and being present in that moment of riding and enjoying. And like, I'll stop and take a break, and just like the wind blowing, I actually feel and I'm conscious of like the breeze, and I'm conscious of my surroundings, and I'm really in the present. But at the same time, my brain tends to think a lot. So in the back of my brain, it's still running through thoughts. And I call it like working shit out, because I'm not really conscious of it, but it's my subconscious is still thinking about these things and working on problems. And I have this weird thought that maybe that's like tapping into the Akashic record, if there is such a thing. And so I'm riding along, and all of a sudden I started thinking, what about, for some reason it popped into my head, that whole argument of athletes doing Olympic lifts or not. And my personal opinion is, having done them for throwing and such, I really think I would have got a lot more out of just doing accommodating resistance training, because I can teach someone to squat really good in a short period of time, but to actually learn a good clean and jerk, and especially a good snatch, it takes a little bit of while. Those are highly skilled movements. That's why there is a sport that does just those lifts. And it's a sport where like people start really young, especially in other countries. So I always thought, well, wait a minute, I can get more. And I've done this training athletes, working with my clients and stuff. I've taken athletes and got them way stronger, way more explosive, just doing regular accommodating resistance with like the three main lifts. Not to say that I'm against Olympic weightlifting. I think it is good. I think if you have the right athlete that's really talented and can pick it up fairly quickly and do it in a safe manner, I there's nothing wrong with it, especially if it's, I think we sometimes we take the mental out of consideration of stuff. If I have somebody who really loves doing Olympic lifts and he's fairly proficient at it, well, then I'm going to put it in. I'm not going to take away the lifts he loves the most, because just that fact of he gets excited about doing it. I get to do cleans today. I get to do snatches today. That already puts you a step up in his training. Uh, but as I was riding along and it came in here, and I went back to when I first did my seminar with Elite FTS, and I had done one meet, I think. Uh, no, I had done one bench meet. I'm not sure if I had done a 3 lift meet or not. I think I did. I think I might have done one. And I changed everything, changed all my technique, changed everything around, and I started doing conjugate. But I didn't have the money for bands and didn't have the money for chains back then. They were just getting in the bands, but they did a lot of stuff with chains. And so I went, okay, fine. I'm just going to use a straight bar, straight weight, but I'm not going to decelerate at the top. I'm going to go as fast as I can and not decelerate. So, just simply from the structure of your body and the way it works, you're going to get faster at the top. So I got to where I was throwing 315, 400. I think I even went up to 5, and I would accelerate as fast as I could through the whole thing. And the bar would come off my back. And so then I would try to kind of come down a little bit and catch it, which was all fun and cool. I felt like a big guy because I'm like squatting fast enough to get this weight off my back. But after a while, my upper back started taking a pounding, man, and I was getting sore all the time and starting to have issues. And that's when I was able to get some chains and change that. So I went, really, in the long run, that was just stupid. I mean, I did what I had to do at the time. And so I started thinking about that. Well, I'm riding. This is just in the back of my head. Like I'm, doing my thing, riding. Hey, I would just go by that school. And then when I kind of stop and sit back, it's like these thoughts start coming to me. And I thought maybe the whole thing is, and I've never thought about it from this perspective. Maybe the whole thing is that they did the Olympic list because they didn't want to do deceleration. And that was basically the only way they could really do it safer than, throwing 400 or 500 pounds off your back. And I found it. I found a couple videos of those days, which I'll post on my Instagram if you want to follow that. And it's just Chad Ikes. I'll try to do that in the next couple days. Um, and I thought maybe that's why. I mean, maybe this whole argument, this whole discussion, I should say, over should athletes do this or not, like maybe we're like it started because they did what they had. Nobody was doing bands or chains or accommodating resistance at the time, so they didn't have that. Nobody had that option. They didn't even know about that option, and so they went with the best thing, which was the Olympic lifts, because it's a way more explosive. I mean, honestly, I think Olympic weightlifting should be called Olympic powerlifting, and I think powerlifting should be called weightlifting. Because of the two, I would say that weightlifting is more of a powerful movement. It's more speed, and explosiveness. That's just my point of view, though. So I just thought that was an interesting perspective, and being 50, whatever the hell I am, 50 something. Um, it's interesting to have you thought this one way your whole life, and then all of a sudden you get a different perspective, and you're like, huh, that's. I mean, it doesn't really change how I feel, but it's an interesting perspective to think about. And I also started shooting my bows again recently, and man, like so much fun. Like I love shooting bows, and I'm just shooting my longbow right now. And I think after the first time shooting again, which it had been, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I probably haven't shot since I started this podcast, so maybe 3 years. But getting out there, and I come back from my first session, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, wow, man, that was really cool. That was so much fun. I feel so good afterwards. And I think I started thinking about, well, wait a minute, man, like I got to control my breathing. I have to control my muscles, my proprioception. I'm thinking about all these different things. And especially the first time after 3 years, I mean, my first couple shots, I can't even keep up with all the things. It just seems chaotic. And so you're just trying to go through the motions, focusing on one or two things. And then it's like, okay, now it's starting to feel a little better. Okay, now I can control it. And like, I mean, that first day, I probably really wasn't listening to the bowstring when it came back. I wasn't listening to how the noises the arrow made when it flew or how it hit the target. And I mean, there's a lot of little things with archery that you'll learn and you can kind of start paying attention to. And when I first started shooting it, the one guy that first helped me explained a lot of that to me. And he wouldn't even watch me and he could tell if it was a good or bad shot just by the sound the bow made. And then I have a tendency, especially that first day, I get frustrated and I just want to start flinging arrows. Like I'll just keep flinging them until one goes good. And I go, nope, nope, nope. Like you got to control your emotions. You got to calm down, slow down, and really focus. And again, I thought, man, this is like meditation again. Like I'm doing something fun and something that I enjoy, but it's putting me in this present. It's complete focus on what I'm doing. And I think I've said in the past that I believe a lot of lifters at some point need to have hobbies outside the gym. And I don't think you have to, but I think it can help. And again, that's a progression, you know. We don't do the same thing our whole career as a power lifter. And a lot of bodybuilders don't either. When you're young and you're starting out and you don't have much skill, you know, you just got to get in the gym. You just got to start lifting weights. Your volume's going to be high. You can lift often, you can recover. And then you start getting better and you start getting more out of your body and you start focusing more on technique and you start you know, it kind of changes over the years. And I think there's a point for strength athletes where that having at least something outside the gym that doesn't tax you physically but allows you to get that mental recovery and put your body in the right place, because it's not just about training, it's about you go to the gym and stimulate growth. Outside the gym, you recover. Well, what can you do to help you recover? Like meditation is a huge recovery thing. If we can get our mind and our heart on the same wavelength, that is going to put our body in a parasympathetic state. That's going to allow our body, that's a healing state. It's not the fight or flight state. So the more we can get there and be there, and the better we can be at putting our body and our mind in that situation, the faster and better we're going to heal. So if we can find things like that, and even hiking, getting out in nature, like meditation has kind of a bad rap, I think, sometimes, where people think it's just the guy sitting there with his palms up, and it's not. There's a lot of different ways to meditate, a lot of different forms of meditation, and the goal usually is the same. You want to be in the present, not thinking about worrying about the past, or thinking about the past, not worrying or thinking about the future, but being right there and going, hey, right now it's good. We're good. So I know there are lifters out there that love lifting. That's it. That's the number one thing for them, and that's all they do. And that's fine if that's works for you, because no matter what, I've sat in a warm up room with some of the best in the world. Everybody does something a little bit different. And if you listen to this podcast, you've heard so many of my guests talk about doing what they need to do. There's a point where it's like, okay, I need to stop following what other people are doing and I need to do what I need to do. So there's multiple ways to get to where we want to get. So I just thought that was an interesting one, and kind of like explained a little more why I think sometimes having another hobby outside is good. When I was lifting heavy or competing at the highest, I did a lot of photography. And that was because, okay, it gets me out. I get to hike around a little bit, and I slow down and I take my time when I'm really looking for that picture, and you really try to focus and see and be right there. And I think that helped me mentally a little bit to keep my body in a healing state and kind of keep myself clear, not stressing, not worrying about it, and just being present. Now here's the big one I've been thinking about lately. Genetics. Because this was such a big thing when I started. All the excuses that people made, meaning well, they do steroids, they have coaches, they have better genetics, this, that, and the other thing. I came into this sport with no relative special strength. I lifted weights for a long time, so I was mediocre strong. And it took a long time to get there. I've never been a great athlete. I've never been a natural at anything really, except being hard headed. And so I had there was no reason for me to think that I could be this high level power lifter. But on the same note, in my brain, there was no reason to think that I couldn't. Because I thought about, well, wait a minute, what about how hard I work? I mean, even if I work hard, I should be able to get there. Maybe I won't be the very best, but I can get there. And so I just went for it. And over time, you kind of start building your confidence and you start seeing what you can do. And then you start learning how to actually get there. And for me, it was like, wait a minute, if I work harder and smarter, I can beat some of these genetic guys because they don't want to learn technique because they're relying on their genetics. Well, I don't have genetics to rely on, so I can do this. And then I've just thought about this a lot over the years. And I mean, the basic underlying point is stop selling yourself short. Who gives a shit? Just figure out a way to get it done. But now, there was a time when I was coaching, or when I had my team, I was coaching, but not like for a living. And I thought, man, I just want some 16, 17-year-old with great genetics, man, that could just be a monster. Just think what I could do with that guy, how cool I could make him, or how strong I could make him, and how cool his life could be. And so I got a couple kids like that, and they just had no heart. They had no heart. They had no dedication. They just didn't really want it. And so I thought, well, wait a minute, like this, okay, fine. Then give me a kid that's got some heart, man. Just give me a kid that wants to work hard. And those kids have always done way better. And so I don't worry about everything that's outside you. Only worry about you. But I'm talking about this just because I think it's interesting, and I think sometimes we got to understand it in order to actually do it. So I thought, well, what is genetics? I mean, what really is genetics? If you when I was a kid, we played like dodgeball or something, man, there'd be kids that could just wing that fucking ball, man. That little red rubber ball. Just wing that thing where it'd whistle going by you. I would throw as hard as I could, and I couldn't ever do that. And I thought, well, wait a minute, like that kid's never had coaching. We're little. We're in elementary school. And I've never had coaching. He's never had coaching. We're just doing this. But like if me and him start wrestling, like I'm stronger than he is. And so looking back at this, I'm like, wait a minute, is genetics doesn't mean you're stronger or less stronger. Maybe genetics is you just have really good natural proprioception and you just know how to throw a ball. Like you know how you just instinctively know it comes from your hips. You're letting your arm go back, where say somebody like me would I'm trying to muscle it. I'm trying to throw it all with my arm because I just didn't know. Like it didn't come natural to me. So then if that's the case, well, I can teach myself how to do that stuff correctly. So what really is genetics? And then I thought, okay, so I tend to say I don't really have great genetics. Well, what is genetics? I'm hard headed as hell, and I will go, 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 and I will study, 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 and I will put in the work. Is that genetics? So maybe I do have good genetics. I mean, and when it came to lifting, I got kind of known for being a technician, and like I liked that. It made sense to me. Like, wait a minute, if I'm squatting like this isn't the strongest position I need to be in. I need to be here. And I learned a lot from other people, and it made sense. And we took it a little further. And just kept expanding it to where like now even like rooting, which I learned a lot of stuff up at what was formerly Kabuki and Chris Duffin and those guys. But I understood it and I liked it and I like studying it. Like I like working on it and fixing it. So that could be a genetic skill right there. So why do we always want to why do we use that as an excuse? Like using saying, "Oh, I'm not genetic." Why? Maybe you are. Maybe you're just not looking, realizing the genetic gift that you have. And so then why even, and this goes back to a really simple concept of like stop comparing yourself to other people. And I think everybody gets to a point where you want to compare. I mean, if you spend your whole life like training to be a power lifter, at some point you go, I want to win a world championship. So you have to compare yourself to other people. But if you're comparing yourself on this day to day, exactly what they're doing, it's not going to work. Like somebody who gets into weightlifting and like, I want to do what, Jay Cutler's doing. Like, well, I mean, if you want to compare yourself to Jay Cutler, why don't you go back to where he was when he was where you're at and then see what he did? At least compare yourself to a more similar situation. But in the long run, like I know people that have gained strength super, super fast. I know people that gained the same strength, but it took them a little bit longer. I started late in powerlifting and made fairly decent gains where I was beating people that had been lifting 10, competing 10 years longer than I was. So I got there a whole lot faster than them, but we're still in the same place. That's just part of the way it is. And how far can you get? Like I think in the long run, you're better off just focusing on you and getting better every session, every day, understanding that it's not linear, your progression. But like I always said, hey, if I get better every meet, if I improve at something, even if it's like, oh, hey, I figured out why I haven't made a gain, that's improvement. If I just keep focusing on my improvement, eventually I'll get where I need to get or where I want to get. And so my brain's like going crazy right now thinking of all these different things because this is such a subject. It even goes to like, well, steroids, they're on steroids. Who gives a shit? So then find a way to beat them not being on steroids if you don't want to take steroids. I was totally against steroids when I started. Wasn't going to do them. I was going to, but I didn't care. I'm like, I'm going to compete anyway, and I'm going to catch him. I don't know how, but I'm going to catch him. And I did. I ended up totaling 24 something, lifetime drug free. And then we found out I had low testosterone because I kept getting sick and felt like shit. Went on testosterone and went, whoa, wait a minute, this is pretty good. I feel way better. And at that point, I was like, well, hey, if I'm doing it, let me start researching it more. And then I'm not against steroids anymore. I don't think you need them. I don't think you have to have them. I think if you're in your early 20s, you don't do it yet. Um, but it was just a matter of like, okay, so what? So they do that. That's irrelevant to me. That doesn't put anything on me. I'm going to find a way around it. And there's always something. We always have a hole in our game. We always have something we're working on. I mean, I think everyone I've ever known, everyone I've ever competed against is always working on something. So instead of worrying about what everyone else is doing and what advantages they have, look for the advantages you have and utilize your skills to get to the highest level you can. And in the end, I mean, if you want to be the best in the world, if you want to break world records, I mean, there's just so many things you can't like. That's such a matter of so many different things falling into place that I don't think. I mean, you should shoot for that goal. You should strive for that goal. But in the end, did you do the best that you thought you could do? Because there's only one number one out of what, 8 billion people, there's one. And I'm not saying it's not you, because it could be you, but I'm also saying a lot of things got to happen perfectly for that. So it's a pretty cool thing when it does happen, actually. Uh, yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. But I think it's just about not making excuses, and it's you have a choice. You can look at reasons and try to find reasons why you aren't where you want to be or why you can't get there, or you can try to find reasons why you can. Find the reasons why you can and focus on them. And you got to believe in yourself. I like telling the story because I look back on it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Um, I think I just did my first 700-pound squat, and I told my teammates, I go, I'm going to do 1,000 drug free, and nobody, even my family, is like, is that even possible? Can you do that? And what makes you think you could do that? Like, nobody's ever done that. And I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. They're like, well, how? I go, I don't know. I'm going to start working on it. I'm working on it right now in my head. Like, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to figure it out. And I eventually did that. And it was pretty cool. Um, but instead of focusing on what I didn't have, instead of focusing on what everyone else did, I started focusing on what do I need to do to get there. And I think that's one of the interesting things in training. And I still go back to one of the last podcasts where he said that Leroy Walker, I was thinking LW and I couldn't get his name in my head. Leroy Walker said, yeah, he just didn't really start getting strong till he decided he needed to do what he needed to do. And he stopped paying attention to what everyone else was doing. And if you think about it, like, that's when all the greatest things happened in this world. That's when radio was invented. That's how the telephone was invented. It was somebody that went, yeah, I don't care. I can make this. I don't care if you think that's the best we got. I think I can come up with something better. And it was the people that follow aren't the ones that came up with these great inventions and these great things. It's the people that led themselves and went on their own path that came up with these great ideas and inventions. And I think even in training, I know we talked about Louis earlier. I'm sure when Louis came out and started doing this stuff, there was a lot of people giving him a lot of shit. But he knew, he's like, he had studied it, he had researched it, it made sense to him, so he was going to follow it. And I mean, every time I ever talk to Louis, he's always been very open to new ideas and new concepts, and likes to talk about ideas, but he's always very confident in what he thought. And so I don't know if he struggled with that. I imagine at some point in his career he probably did, but I know I did. When I first started, I struggled a lot with ideas that I had, and I would look around and nobody else was doing it, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's a bad idea. Till a couple of my ideas, when I started talking to higher level lifters, I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of what I was thinking, you know? And then it was like, wait a minute, maybe if I would have listened to myself earlier, I'd be further along. Maybe I need to start listening to what I'm thinking. And sometimes you just know. And that goes back to kind of the meditation thing and possibly the Akashic record. Sometimes you got to just go, okay, I can't pinpoint and explain this, but I know this is going to work. And you just need to trust that. I think there's a lot of really good intuition in all of us if we learn to trust it. And I feel like I could keep going on this, but I might be beating a dead horse at this point. So I think when it comes to genetics, stop seeing genetics in one way. Wow, that's actually interesting, because all of these things I've kind of talked about, that's kind of the key to this whole podcast. Right now, I'm just realizing it. Like, stop thinking about things in one way and be open to thinking about them in other ways. So if somebody says, "Oh, you don't have genetics to do that," like, what are you talking about? What do you think genetics are? Like, okay, maybe I'm not this gifted, strong guy, but maybe it's because I'm moving wrong, or maybe it's because I just haven't trained right, or maybe it's because I'm not eating enough. Like maybe I do have I have a genetic gift. It's just not the one you think it is, and it's still going to help me get there. I mean, I've seen guys that have what I would say are great athletic genetics. They just know how to move. They're naturally pretty strong, but they don't have the genetic gift of dedication. They don't have the genetic gift of grind. They don't have the genetic gift of confidence and trusting themselves. Everything in their life went pretty easy. It's just like the football player you see that's a superstar till he gets on a Division I football field with a bunch of other people that are just as gifted as he is, and he just breaks because he didn't have that gift of believing in himself, of grinding it out, of working harder. So then you go, okay, well, was that even a gift at all that he had? Sure, it got him there, but then he fell apart. What good was that? And I mean, I really have this fight for your greatness right here. I truly believe in my heart everybody has greatness in them. The question is, are you willing to go deep enough to find out what your greatness is? And then are you willing to work on it and stick with it? I mean, hell, I'm doing 3 years. 3 years I put into this podcast. I don't make a dime. I do it because I'm trying to help people. If someday, I've said this many times, if someday I can make a little bit of money off this podcast, that would be awesome. If I could get a couple sponsors, if I could grow it even more, that'd be great. But I'm doing it for a reason, and I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to keep doing it. You know, I'm helping some people. I don't know how many. It's helping me grow as a person. It's helping me obtain other skills. It's not that easy to sit down with a microphone, well, at least not for me, to sit down with a microphone and just start talking. And all of a sudden you go, hey, wow, 30 minutes. I've talked for 30 minutes by myself into this computer, into this microphone. So just find your greatness, fight for your greatness. I know it's there. I know we all have it in some form, in some way, in some area. And do you want to continue to build and focus on the things about you that don't have that greatness, or do you want to find that greatness and focus on that? And do you want to make excuses, or do you want to accomplish things? Do you want to obtain goals? It really is our choice. And I know so many like top level athletes that at some point they could have said, oh, I just don't have it. I don't have the genetics. I don't have the gift. I'm not going to do this. But it turns out their gift was not giving up. It was fighting through it. It was continuing to push and go and get better and better and better. And I would also say there's a gift of realizing when what you're doing is not working. So you're going to change and find a way to make it work, that's a whole other topic in itself. But I've seen a lot of guys that get stuck in this rut, and they're like, this is what I do. This is what the person I like does. I'm going to keep doing this. I just got to do it harder and do it more and do it harder and do it more and do it harder and do it more. And then they never step back and go, wait a minute, this isn't working for me. So maybe I need to find a different approach. Like I've given it the time, I've worked hard at it, I've been dedicated to it, but something's not right. So either I'm not doing something right, or this is not my path. I need a different path. And I actually came up to that. I came up to that too. When I first started doing conjugate, we had, man, it would be good for a couple of weeks. And then things would just start going bad, and we couldn't get back on track till we took a break. And then we would get back on, and it was just up and down and up and down and up and down. And I'm so grateful to have some of the greatest lifters in the world that I was able to talk to, and they told me, like, if it's not working, you need to change something. What do you think you need to change? And I had ideas, but I didn't have the confidence to try them. And I'm fortunate that these people are like, why aren't you doing it? Just because nobody else has done it doesn't mean it's wrong. You got to try it. And so I tried it and it worked. And that again, that was just another little step in me becoming who I was, and kept pushing me to start paying really attention to my training, where my progressions were. If everything stops progressing, then why am I in here doing this? Like, I love lifting and I love training hard, but my goal was to be the best I could be. If I'm not moving towards that, something's not working and I need to find it and fix it. So there's a lot of these little things we got to think about and work, and it all works together. But I think it all starts with going, hey, I can do this. I don't care about the excuses. I don't care about what other people think. I know I can do this. I don't care if this guy is getting a professional coach. I don't care if this guy has this equipment. I don't care if this guy has the drugs. Like, I'm gonna take what I have and I'm gonna start making it work. And if I find that later I do need that equipment, then I'm gonna find a way to get the money for that equipment. If I find I need some help, I'm gonna find a coach, or I'm gonna find a way to be able to contact some guys and start getting little tidbits here and there. But you're going to find a way, and it's not just, oh, this is what I'm going to do because I saw somebody do this. It's forging your own path with your needs in line and where you need to get. And no matter what, doing whatever it takes to get there, because a lot of times it's not just about working hard. I know a lot of people that work super, super hard and never reach the level that they're capable of. Yeah. So it's just some stuff. Some of these podcasts, I just want to get on here and talk, and you guys can kind of see like how I think and how I was able to become the lifter that I became. And hopefully, more than anything, I hope that it you listen to this and you're like, that crazy son of a bitch. But you know what? I should probably think about that. Or like, you're driving down the road going, what a crazy bastard. But you know what? I think he has a point right there. And it just gets you thinking to believe in yourself and to try some of the things that you're thinking of, and to kind of be open to looking at something from a different perspective. I can say in my career, there's a few times, and I said it's a progression as you go. There's a few times where I got stuck thinking one way, and I had to get my mind open before I could go, oh, this isn't working because of this. Like, I thought this was it. I thought this is where I needed to be. I thought this is what, and it's not. That's not what I need to do. So opening our minds and having that thought and being able to having a pliable brain to look at problems from different perspectives, and keep trying and keep learning. And it's one of the things I want people to learn about powerlifting. And when I say I want to help people take some of the things from lifting that I did, that's the one I'm still to this day, with my training, with my archery, with building this building, I've learned to like open my brain up and not think one way, and be able to go, wait a minute, okay, this isn't working, but we can still do this. Don't quit, don't give up. There's another way around here. So I'm always looking at other angles and other ways to think, and trying to find, am I really doing what I think is best to reach this goal, or have I got caught in a pattern? And so that's just, those are the kind of things I hope people learn over time. And it's a progression. When you first start, if you're thinking about some of this stuff when you first start, it's too much. You don't need to. Just go to the gym, work hard, train hard, but understand. And when I have young athletes, I still try to give them all these little tidbits, and I ask them a lot of questions, and I'm trying to get them to think. But it's like, okay, right now you just need to come in here and like just start lifting, man. And we're gonna slowly work on your technique and get things better to where you understand it. And we're going to work on your proprioception and all this stuff. And as we progress, they're going to have to start thinking about more and more things, but they come in at a certain time. It's a progression over years and years and years being an athlete, of training. An NFL guy probably isn't training the way he did when he started playing football as a little kid or even in high school. You step up, it's a different game. You're a different person. And I want people to kind of realize that no matter where you're at in this journey, just know that it needs to keep growing and keep expanding, and things are going to change as you do all of that. So I'm going to sign off until next time, episode 97, I think I said, or 98, 97. So we're going to hit 100 pretty soon. That's a pretty cool point for me. I'm proud of that. All right, guys, gals, I'm out of here.
Thanks for listening to the Courage Barbell Unlimited podcast. For more information, please visit couragebarbell.com. Until next time.